think that they will be astonished. I think they will be amazed. I think when you come into the building, you don't realize the scale. We have 40-foot high ceilings. They are museum quality exhibitions. The galleries are beautiful. It's really a jewel in Chinatown that one has to experience both our exhibitions as well as architecturally. There's nothing like this building in Vancouver.
We're here today at the Chinese-Canadian Museum, one of the newer attractions in Chinatown. Join us as we explore stories about Chinese Canadians and their history.
It's been a whirlwind trip. We opened 6 months ago. We opened on July 1st, 2023. It was a historic date because it was the 100-year anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act. We are the first Chinese-Canadian museum in Canada, and we reside here in our permanent location in the oldest building in Chinatown, the Wing Sang building, which was built in 1889. So when you come into the Chinese Canadian Museum, you will be in the lobby, and the first thing you'll see is our Indigenous acknowledgement. It is a beautiful commission by Susan Point. She is the most prominent Indigenous Musqueam artist working in Canada. She's very famous for her welcome poles, which people also think of as totem poles when you arrive in Vancouver Airport arrivals. And this special commission called Embracing Diversity is really celebrating the relationship between the Chinese and the Musqueam people, a relationship that has lasted over 100 years. When you walk into the ground floor, you'll see our first exhibition, which is called Odysseys in Migration. And it's really about an introduction to Chinese Canadian migrations. And it has 6 different stories with amazing objects that you can look at, and you can pull out drawers to see more. You can watch videos. And there's a beautiful mural by Chinese Canadian artist Marlene Yuen that celebrates Chinese Canadian culture and history. The second floor is, of course, the paper trail, which is spread across 3 galleries. It has over 400 Chinese exclusion certificates, more commonly known as CIs. And you really learn a lot more about place in Chinese Canadian history and Chinese Canadians in Canada. On the 3rd floor, it's actually, for many children, it's their favorite floor, because you're immersed in the 1930s and you are in a period room where you think that you have time machine or transported into the Yip family living room, where you have a telephone that works, you have a phonograph that plays music, and you have our historic schoolroom. It's the oldest schoolroom in Vancouver, and you can sit at the desks and pretend that you are in the class of 1914. Finally, the top floor has our beautiful outdoor rooftop garden.
We're standing in the first Chinese Canadian museum in the country, and we have a coast-to-coast mandate. And so there's really something here for everyone who identifies as a Chinese Canadian, or maybe just has an ancestral connection to this history. And even, like I mentioned, beyond that, it's a forum, really. It's a space where you can share art, share stories, share experiences. And for people who ask me, is this your typical museum? Is it really dusty and old, or kind of crowded? And I always explain to them that's completely the opposite of what we have here. We have an incredible space. We have an incredible modern building that combines with the history of this space and all of these modern features. So we have incredible documentaries and other programming here. So for those of the younger generation, people who maybe aren't history fans, I definitely think that this museum would surprise you and maybe even introduce you into this history in a way that you've never experienced before.
You can take a girl out of Chinatown, but you can never take Chinatown out of a girl. Behind every alley, there's a story about what it's like to be Chinese Canadian, and I promise you'll feel the same when you visit. For more information, visit the link below. I'm Amanda from City Lights on Novus TV.